got this special connection and a deep-rooted love for journalism from a very faraway distance.
Any journalist will tell you that they're not doing their job if people aren't listening.
Your story is a powerful reminder of resilience and the pain that you dealt with. What once you thought was a normal afternoon and you were willing to ride the horse, and it just changed so suddenly, so quickly. It changed from a normal moment to a life-threatening event for you when a 600 kg horse absolutely came on your left leg. How was it feeling altogether?
It's really funny. It's one of those moments where some bits I remember so perfectly and some bits, though huge swathes of it, that I don't remember.
Were you conscious during that time?
Yes. I was remarkably conscious. I just remember a real crunch. Like, it was literally like a footstep on gravel. I remember having a moment of thinking, my leg's gone.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode. Today on Beautiful Chords, we are honored to welcome a truly remarkable woman whose life resonates deeply with the very essence of this podcast: resilience, creativity, healing, and the power of music. Our guest, Catherine Milford, is an accomplished writer, editor, and journalist with 3 decades of experience across New Zealand and London. Her work has appeared in New Zealand Women's Weekly, Women's Day, Nielsen Magazine, NZ Herald, Stuff, Dive Pacific, RNZ, and many other publications. Through her words, she has captured stories of people, place, and emotion with depth and sensitivity. But Catherine is not only a storyteller with the pen, she is also a storyteller through music. A passionate musician, she plays the viola and serves as the principal violist for many orchestras, playing all kinds of music from Sibelius to symphony. In this episode, Catherine shares a deeply personal story of spending weeks in hospital, undergoing multiple surgeries, and finding the courage to rebuild her life from the scratch, from the strength, determination, and embracing new beginnings with grace. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to her. Thank you, Catherine, for joining us for this special episode of Beautiful Chords.
My pleasure.
Honestly, you traveled all along the way from Nelson to Auckland to come this far for this episode. I'm incredibly fortunate and I'm so incredibly grateful to you and so humbled as well that you could do this episode for me. Something very personal I want to share with you. I grew up in India. And in our living room, on the TV, we've always heard news because my father is fond of listening to news, whether it is global news, the Indian political news, or whatsoever. It was only 24 hours news all the time over there. So I feel like I've got this special connection and a deep-rooted love for journalism from a very faraway distance. And in this faraway land from my home country, roughly 12,000 kilometers away, here I am sitting across a journalist. So it gives me immense pleasure and also a very proud moment for me. So thank you for being here and for doing this for us.
Oh, it's a huge pleasure for me too. Thank you. Any journalist will tell you that they're not doing their job if people aren't listening. So, without you, where would we be? I'm incredibly lucky. I feel really, really honoured. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's, it's Auckland. I've sat in traffic a lot.
Yes.
But it's great. It's lovely to be back up here because I haven't been in Nelson very long. So
wonderful.
Yeah, still kind of feels like home.
Thank you. The feelings are the same. To begin with, firstly, how was your journey here in Auckland? Like, you traveled, and given the fact that the weather was so horrible the last 2 days, I was nearly nervous. What if the flight would get cancelled?
Yeah, no, I had faith. I always had faith. I'd allowed a little bit of extra time anyway, but sometimes there are things you're meant to do, I think.
Yes.
We got here.
Exactly.
Took us a couple of goes sometimes,
yes.
But we got here.
Yes.
So, yeah.
It was meant to be for this day.
Absolutely.
Your story is a powerful reminder of resilience and the pain that you dealt with. What if I really want to know that, if you can take me back to that Saturday in 2018, that February, what once you thought was a normal afternoon and you were willing to ride the horse, and it just changed so suddenly, so quickly. It changed from a normal moment to a life-threatening event for you when a 600 kg horse absolutely came on your left leg.
Yeah.
How was it feeling altogether?
It's really funny. It's one of those moments where some bits I remember so perfectly and some bits, though huge swathes of it, that I don't remember.
Were you conscious during that time?
Oh, I was yes. I was remarkably conscious. It was completely crazy. So only, I think, 2 weeks before, I'd achieved a bit of a milestone that I wanted to achieve, which was that I jumped a meter.
Exactly, and you shared that picture as well,
have
which
shared
was
that picture.
amazing.
It was a real moment for me, that one, because so the reason I started riding, I didn't ride as a child, and because I was a musician and a few other things, I was, my parents were all like, don't do anything that's going to break anything. So I started to learn to ride for two reasons. One, I wanted something to do with my daughter. I wanted something that kind of bonded us.
Yes.
And it was something she was quite keen on. But also I was in a very stressful job at the time. I was working at Woman's Day, and it's an amazing job, but it's relentless. Putting out a weekly magazine is relentless. There is no downtime.
Yeah.
And the thing about a horse is it feels your emotions. It's the only sport with a heartbeat in that sense, where you're really super, super close to them. And you have to let go of that stress on your horse because they feel it. They feel it completely. So the idea for me was that this was a place where I could just put everything else down, put all the stresses down.
And it was your happy place, basically.
Yeah, very much. And it was something I did with Jess, and I had friends there. And as I said, I'd sort of achieved this milestone. So I was pretty chill.
Wonderful.
And we were the stupid thing is, I wasn't even doing anything bad at all. I wasn't doing anything crazy. We were just walking around the arena. We were warming up the horses. I was chatting with a friend about the week and and it was fine. And then
because everything just happened in split seconds for you. You were not prepared for anything. But even then, you still managed to have a very controlled fall.
Well, yeah, because so a horse had come into the side of me, and I was on a horse, she's called Dream, ironically enough. But I was on a horse that had, I knew she spooked. So as soon as she started rearing, this horse came in, it surprised her, she reared, and I could see it coming. So I was like, okay, well, I'm coming off one way or the other, so I'll just come off in my own time. So I came off, and it was a fall, but I'd been fine with it. And I was just about to get up, and Dream had carried on to rearing and reversing, and she reversed into another horse, and she fell on top of me. So it was very fast. Yeah, it was
600 kg. It's not a small number.
No, not at all.
I can't even imagine that pain.
Some of that bit is a little bit kind of weird, but I just remember a real crunch. Like it was literally like a footstep on gravel, if you can think about that kind of sound. And I remember thinking I need to move my leg, and I just couldn't do anything. And then I just remember screaming. Yeah. And then everyone came, and then the rest there's a lot of different things that kind of happened after that. But obviously, ambulance came up, and the person I'd been chatting to was actually she worked in the medical profession, so she knew exactly what to do, which was great. But my daughter had seen the injury, unfortunately, although I didn't know that at the time. From there it just went crazy, and they just got me. I was out way the other side of North Shore, but they took me straight to Auckland Hospital because they, at the time, weren't sure I was going to keep my leg, and they needed to go and get the real big guns on it, the real trauma surgeons.
My goodness, yeah. Must have been an extremely traumatic experience for you. And not just for you, but for the entire family who had to go through that pressure.
Yeah. So we'd... obviously, my husband had been called, and he came up, and I do remember saying, don't let Jessie, but apparently she'd been watching the whole thing anyway. So, it was very difficult for everyone. So, but everyone rallied, everyone was pretty good. And I was fine once they gave me all the good drugs. Although I do remember there was this really weird moment. It's funny what you remember of stuff like that. Some bits I don't remember. But I remember having a moment of thinking, my leg's gone. Yeah.
And fearing for life, basically. That's not an easy thing to do.
No, I actually thought it had fallen off. Yeah. I was lying on the arena, just going, oh my God, I don't have a leg anymore.
Because you can't feel that, right? Even that it becomes so numb, you can't feel anything.
Honestly, I can't remember. I remember knowing it wasn't good. And I remember not being able to move. And I remember the ambulance guys coming, and I remember them giving me the quick painkiller. I can't remember what they call it now, but and that was sort of better. But funnily enough, I remember the things that happened around more than I remember the pain at that point. wanting to make sure that my daughter was protected was real top of mind
I
for me.
understand. I think from a mom's perspective, that's the first thing you ever think of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was very much so. So, yeah, I remember thinking that my leg had disappeared somewhere and people laughing at me for that.
And your surgeon has done such a great job.
He was amazing. He was absolutely amazing. So, yeah, there are, as I said, there are bits I remember and bits that I don't. And I do remember them closing a curtain and discussing the potential things that might happen. And I remember thinking, it's a curtain, it's not a soundproof door.
Yes. You
I
better
can
watch for
hear
your
you.
words. Yes. I am in pain. I'm in a physical pain. Please don't add any sort of emotional pain to it.
Yes, it's like, okay, so you're chatting about whether or not we need to make sure that we've got things ready for amputation. I didn't need to hear that, but okay, I did hear that. But yeah, anyway, it was fine. And I do remember my surgeon talking to me after the event, and he told me, again, weird what you remember. He told me he put 47 pieces of bone back together.
47.
Yeah.
And that's a daunting number.
It is quite a daunting number. I do have some interesting photos. Medical people love seeing those photos. And wow, look at it. But he did say that one of the biggest stresses for him was that so much of the bone had actually turned to dust that he was worried it was going to go in my bloodstream and give me sepsis. So, yeah, I do remember that. But he did. He put it back together. It was not a one surgery deal. I had quite a few surgeries on it. But yeah, and I was told several times that if I'd kept my leg, I would walk with a limp. And I don't.
That's wonderful, right? Because it was universe's way of giving you the right thing that you deserved at that time, which is so good. Amazing.
Yeah, I'm incredibly grateful to that surgeon. He's a guy called Peter Mazur, and he is one of the most impressive medical professionals I've ever met. And
amazing.
You know, even though there were a few other things that happened, I don't have any doubt in my mind that he saved my leg.
Amazing. I think some doctors, some surgeons leaves a very long-lasting impression in our heart. So he's one among them.
Even though, yes, we did have, we had a few sort of issues going further down. But when you've got an injury like that, it's not something he's ever seen before. It's not something anyone had ever seen before. You know, if you think about all these traumatic things, these doctors are just faced with this crazy 10,000-piece puzzle.
Exactly.
And it's like, not just do the puzzle, but do it immediately with no prior warning.
Yes.
With no experience in putting that one together. So
no sort of a degree or no sort of a studies would tell you how to put all of those pieces together. It's like you are learning while you're doing it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, God's sake, whether things will be fixed or not in the life.
Yeah, absolutely. I do remember at a couple of points thinking, God, he must have been really good at Meccano when he was a kid, you know, like Lego, just putting things back together again. But yeah, he did. And I have been incredibly lucky, I think, because, yes, it was a life-altering injury, but I came out of it. I'm still here.
That's wonderful. And glad that you're here because you chose to grow with that experience, not just that experience define you as who you are, but you decided to grow out of it and create a niche for yourself. So wonderful.
I mean, for me, that was actually a really, really big deal. The not letting it define me. I think those sort of things, they can define you. And one thing I've learnt over the years since then that I didn't quite get the hang of then, I was so determined not to let it define me. I said, this is not going to be that point in my life.
You chose not to do that specifically.
Yes. But the trouble is, I mean, to a degree, it does define, it doesn't define you, but it defines that point in your life because so much else changed as a result of that injury as well.
I think everything changes, your physical state, your mental state, and obviously you're financially drained as well while you're dealing with so many surgeries and everything that comes with it.
Yeah. Well, getting an email in hospital, and I won't ever forget this bit either because I'd actually had a fall in the hospital because the thing when you crush your femur, they can't put it in a cast. You're not, you know, they put you back together and you're stitched up. But, you know, if you break your arm or your leg, you're put in plaster, you're put in something. Whereas actually if you break the top of your leg, you're not, you don't have anything there. So it's quite open and quite exposed. And I had a walker and they'd said, oh, we can give you a bedpan. I was like, no, leave me, I'm going myself. But of course the walkers are terrible and I ended up falling, and I was actually waiting to go for another x-ray to see if I'd re-broken everything.
Oh my goodness.
When I got an email from the person that I'd been working with saying, obviously you can't do the job, so thanks very much, but we're not going to need you anymore.
My goodness. That's not a fair decision what they took. The fact that you were in the hospital, you're already dealing with so much of stuff, and they just cannot add this like a cherry on the cake, but on the negative side.
Oh, it's funny. Like I said, there are some bits I remember very clearly and some bits not so much. That felt like the biggest sucker punch, almost bigger than the accident itself, because the accident was like, okay, well,
we can still deal with it, right?
Yeah.
It's with our body, we can still deal with it because I choose not to fall sick. But if I am, I'll come out of it in a way that still can make me feel better.
Yeah.
But no, that email was not good.
No, this was really significant.
Devastating.
Because what do you do? It wasn't, that instant moment is like, no one's going to hire me. I'm not going to get another job at the moment or for the foreseeable future.
Instead of showing some sort of a sympathy towards you, they did the other way around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've, to be honest, that part has been trickier than getting my head around the physical injury because, obviously there's a lot of betrayal and there's a lot of stuff that goes with that. I've come to terms with it over time. Yeah. I think that says more about that person than
exactly
it does about me. But at the time, I remember just being in utter panic because I just went, how am I going to live? I'm not going to be able to earn money. No one's going to employ me.
Yeah.
I can't move. I'm in hospital. They've said I'm not, might keep my leg, might not. And I've just lost my job. And that was the point that I started realizing that I was in grave danger of losing my identity.
Yeah.
Because of what I've done in my work life, in my several work lives, but my work is often, I think it does with a lot of people, it's been a big part of who I am.
Yes. That's that defines you because...
Yes.
Yeah.
So getting that taken away was...
It's like taking your identity from you, which you don't want to lose at any point.
It was terrifying. Yeah. It was really, really terrifying. And there was a lot more that kind of went with that. But that was the beginning of a very, very rough ride. Very rough ride. Because, yes, there was the financial. Yes, there was the physical of having to try and get better. And the bone wasn't healing. So I had to have a bone graft. And I had all kinds of other things. And I had pins that went through femoral arteries.
I get it.
There was a lot of surgeries. There's a lot of, ups and downs with that stuff. But that took away temporarily, but it took away the strength of who I had always felt I was.
Absolutely. And how long did it take you to recover?
A long time.
Physically?
From that one. From physically, I mean, I still have pain every day. It's still problematic. I will have pain for the rest of my life.
Once you're on a medicine, you're forever on a medicine. Let's admit it.
I was given every painkiller on the planet at the beginning, as you can imagine. I manage it with paracetamol.
Yeah.
Because the more you take medicine, the more it adds something else to something else. And, you can take a gabapentin, which blocks the nerve, but then it makes you feel dizzy and it makes you tired. And you can take an ibuprofen, but then that messes with your gut health. And
it has its own adverse effects, basically. Yeah. What gives you pleasure at one point will also give you some sort of a pain after that.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes, very much so. So I manage it with paracetamol. But the number of surgeries, I think it took about 4.5 years in total, maybe a little bit more.
For your recovery in total?
Yeah, for the various, because...
Almost half a decade.
Yeah. I hadn't thought of it like that, but yeah.
I never imagined a life to be like this.
I think it, as I said, the physical side of things, to a degree, you just kind of find your space with it because there's not much you can do about it.
Yeah.
Like you said before, if you get sick, if you get ill, there's a degree of there's nothing you can do about it. But losing who I was the most terrifying part of the whole thing by a very, very, very long way.
Agreed. Forget about the entire incident of that 600 kg horse rolling on your left leg. What was most traumatizing experience was when you got that email from an employer saying that you are no more, you're not needed anymore. I think somewhere you're still sure that physically you can still recover, but the mental aspect of it, that you need to recover back, you need to bounce back, takes a lot of time. And I've seen in my personal life as well.
Yeah. Ridiculously, I could even see the funny side of the horse thing. People used to send me, you get those humorous cards or whatever and people, I saw so many horse jokes over those few weeks and months and years. And so many people asked me how the horse was.
Yeah.
When I was in hospice, like,
My
how's
goodness.
Dream?
Yeah.
It's like, she's fine.
Yeah.
And I went to go and see her. I went out and she was very weird with me, and I thought it was because I had the crutches. But it wasn't. She felt my fear.
Did she lose some sort of a vibe with you? Did she connect with you the same way as you guys connected initially?
No, different, completely different. And actually, she kind of shied away from me, and she wasn't happy. You could see she wasn't happy. And the riding instructor was like, you'll be fine. And I said, no, I don't think she likes the crutches.
Yeah.
He said, no, it's not the crutches. And he took the crutches off me, and he ran them down her flank, and she didn't flinch. It wasn't the change in my physical thing. It wasn't the crutches that scared her. It was the fact that I had something different in me and she didn't like it.
It was the chemistry that didn't match in the end. Yeah.
She just, like I said before, that horses react in such an emotional way. One of the reasons I think, people get so incredibly attached to horse riding is because it is a bond like
it is a bond, and it is a stress buster for those who love it. Yeah.
And it was always a challenge for me as well because, having not been able to do it. But, I have been on horses since, much to the annoyance of several people.
Forget about it. That's still fine.
Well, I'm picky about the horses I go on. I have a friend up in Auckland who has the most beautiful natural horsemanship with her horses, and we trust her and her horses. And that's lovely. But I'm not sure I would go for the crazy rides anymore. I think I've got too much metal in me
No more
now.
achieving milestones. That's fine. I've done it for once in my life.
And also I've got so much metal now. I have been told in no uncertain terms by the doctors that actually next time it doesn't break, it shatters. So won't be doing that.
Keep it secured now.
Yes.
That's the only thing you have for the lifetime.
Different hobbies now, yeah.
In my trajectory of life, I feel that with every pain comes the power to do something more. Every pain, for whatever reason has come to me, I feel the urge to do and the urge to perform something even more greater than what I am doing. It could be in my personal life, it could be at my professional level as well. So with all of this incident that you went through, is that the reason, or was that the motive of you building your website, Eat, Cooks, Reads from the scratch, and having all those amazing recipes out there?
Yes, it was. And I have an incredible lady called Melissa to thank for that one because I had no idea what I was going to do. And like I said, it was, I didn't know what. I'd done quite a lot of food writing and lifestyle writing. Lifestyle had kind of been my thing. And I've always loved kind of creating recipes and doing, and I'd edited food magazine and I've done quite a lot of that kind of work. And when I didn't know what to do, Melissa said, look, would you mind if I built you a website and just gave you a platform?
That's such an amazing idea.
At the time, I was like, I was incredibly grateful to her, but I was like, I don't really know what I'm going to do with it.
Yeah, and that's what you define the true meaning of strength. That despite all of those obstacles, you still managed to do it, which is incredible.
It gave me something to focus on.
Yes.
It gave me a purpose.
Get it. Yeah.
People were saying to me, "Oh, you're going to finish Netflix. You've got all these things to watch." That whole
Doesn't matter.
time, I didn't finish a single series, not one.
Not that we cannot, but we wish not to.
It was so weird. As soon as I was in a position where all I could really do was sit down and watch TV, it was the last thing I wanted to do.
Yeah, that's not fruitful. That's not productive at all.
Well, you sort of, when you get tired, you just think, oh, God, I'd just like to just stop for a minute.
I know.
as soon as I was given the option of stopping, I was like, actually, it's the worst thing I could think of.
Because we're constantly working, we're overwhelmed with the situation. We need to put our brains into the right place. Yes.
Yeah, and it was exhausting.
That's why I say it is a story of strength and resilience, and you proved it.
Well, again, it's kind of, you have to. You know, what was my plan B? There is no plan B.
I know.
When you're like that. It's you just got to find a way.
Yeah.
And as part of my whole journey, I did meet people that had been their defining moment, and they changed.
Yeah.
My surgeon, Peter, told me on more than one occasion, and so did other people as part of the journey, that I was part of the 5%, because 95% of people do kind of just go, well, that's me, and it defines them. He said most people don't want to put in the work.
Absolutely. They just give up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never really thought of it as that way. I just knew I couldn't. I just couldn't.
Yeah.
I just couldn't. You know, to be one of those people who had just handed the rest of my life over. I was only in my early 40s, mid 40s, whatever it was. What if I had that many years again and I did nothing with it apart from
Truly
sit down? That was a terrifying thought. So
even more worse. I tell you, we just came back from India a couple of weeks back. And the day we landed here, that was 17th of January. Within 12 hours, my little one, she was hospitalized, right? And she was there for the good 8-9 days. The fact that we were all jet lagged, she wasn't well. Not that she was not well just after landing in New Zealand, but she was also not well 2 days before when we had to take the flight. So we planned, howsoever our travel is going to be, we'll take her there, we'll fix everything. Probably we never even imagined that it would take us 8 long days to be there with her. I could hear her crying endlessly. In fact, not just her, but the entire hospital could hear her crying. I was shattered within.
Yeah.
I knew after the 5th day, I want to go back home. No matter whatsoever condition she is, I will take her home and I'll take care of her the way I want to. No doubt the doctors were doing an amazing job. But having said that, those 8 nights when I was in the hospital, each night I took a paper from the nurse because it was so important to get my thoughts out of my mind and put it all on paper for me to ease out in life at this stage.
Yeah,
So-
I understand that completely.
We come from the same perspective. We
Yes,
both have
I
had
think so.
traumatic experiences, but yours was far more greater than what I've ever experienced in my life.
Oh, no, there is nothing more terrifying than something happening to your children. You know, obviously I've got 2. I adore them both, and both of them have, had their thrills and spills, as they do.
Yes.
And including any of my own experiences, I've never been as scared as when they're not okay.
Yeah.
So I my heart goes out to you when you told me that your daughter was in hospital.
And thank you for accommodating everything around it.
I felt it deeply. I felt it like on a physical level, because we adore them. It's wonderful. They give us so much joy, but
Absolutely.
the fear that you feel when something happens to them is it's terrifying.
I get it. It is the motherhood feeling that just immediately sparks when you hear about somebody else's child not being in a great position.
Yeah, well, and also I didn't know that you, like me, cannot sleep in the situation. So add the exhaustion to the jet lag, to the child being sick and the worry. It's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot to deal with. Yeah. I often feel that being in the limelight is great. It's both rewarding and challenging. It has its own pros and cons. What we see behind the camera is far different than what we see behind the lens as well. I'll share my personal experience with you a little bit later. So I've read most of your articles that you wrote on celebrities. I felt that Cliff Curtis' article was something which just touched my heart about his roots being in Rotorua, and also with that happiness co-actors,
Rebecca
and Harry.
Yeah.
That was an amazing thing you did. So how do you strike a balance between your journalistic integrity while maintaining the sensitivity of the topic?
I think so much of it depends on the person. I mean, all the people that you just talked about. I mean, Harry McNaughton is one of the most incredible, talented individuals I've ever come across. He and Rebecca Gibney are also great friends. That was one of the funniest interviews I've done in a long time. I didn't even have to say anything. They were just sparking off each other
Wow.
in such a brilliant way. I mean, that one wrote itself. That one fully wrote itself because they were just hilarious. And Harry and his husband were going down and they spent some time with Rebecca, and she actually lives not far from where I do in the South Island. And they just have the most amazing chemistry.
Amazing.
So when you have a situation like that,
Yes.
it's just easy.
Yes.
And literally, there's nothing really of me in there. That was just watching them.
Yes.
Cliff, obviously, he's a busy guy. He was in between. He'd just flown in from LA, I think, the day before, and he had quite a few things. But we'd been given this exclusive interview with him, which was brilliant.
Amazing.
So with him, I knew I didn't have a lot of time.
Yes.
But a really lovely, warm guy. I have in the past, I have had experience of people where they are very famous.
Yeah.
And you feel it. They know that they're famous.
Yes, exactly.
And it's just like, well, you're giving me what you have to do, but I'm getting no sense of who you are.
Yes.
Cliff gave me a sense of who he was, and it really
Wow.
matters to him. His history, his roots matter so much to him that it came through in a very short space of time for the interview. It was very clear that was a really important thing for him. He's done quite a lot he's done a lot for this country, for
Absolutely.
his culture.
Yes.
And my only job at that point as a writer is to respect that
Yes.
and to be able to put across what he wants to say.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the best compliment I can ever get from anyone when they see the story is, thank you, that I really feel like that
Yes.
represented me.
Yeah. Even with one
job
of
done.
those, one of the chef's story that you wrote, he said that he's never felt so deep that you captured the essence of everything that he told you.
Yeah, there's been a few.
I think
chefs.
it's there in the Nelson magazine,
Volker.
the one that you recently sent me.
Volker Maracek.
Yeah.
So Volker he was the executive chef at the Cordis up in
Yes.
Auckland for 16 years. And before that, he'd been at the Savoy in London, and he'd opened a hotel restaurant in Estonia randomly. He'd been all over the place, the most incredible guy.
Wow. It's great when you have global exposure to with your own subject.
So, well, he had gone from working 60, 70, 80-hour weeks to suddenly moving to Nelson and having a very, very different
Wow.
life. So, yeah, I think, to a degree, it's training. If you do something for long enough, you
Yes.
learn things. And one of the things that I think I've learned is to hear what people aren't saying,
Yeah.
but what they're feeling. And with Volker, it was very much, he's so talented. He's got so many ideas. And he was really excited to have moved. But you could see him also going, who am I now?
Yeah.
So that was
What really shapes your identity.
yeah. So I think, it was lovely when he said that. Those are the things I do take as a big compliment.
Amazing. We will talk about your Nelson life for sure. I want to touch base upon this one thing, that one incident I want to share with you, because we're talking about all the camera, the lenses, and the celebrity talks. This is back in 2012 when I was doing my post-graduation in public relations and marketing. It was a very normal day for all of us. We were all coming from our classroom. It was a nice Saturday afternoon, evening actually. We were all coming out of the classroom, laughing, giggling. It felt very usual. Everything was just the way it should be, in place. So this guy who was my classmate, he was quite new to New Delhi. That's the place where I was learning my course from. He said, I do not know the way to go to the bus stop. Can you guide me? I'm like, sure. It's just 5 minutes distance from our institute to the bus stop. So it was a group of 2-3 people and we were all going together. Out of nowhere, after 2 minutes of walk, he held me from my neck like this way. He held me like this. And he actually held me down. For a moment, I felt like, what are you up to? In my head, I wanted to abuse him, but I did not. I had to hold on to my ego issues. But he held me down with my neck like this. I said, are you okay? He said, I just didn't want you to be on the camera. I'm like, camera? Where? When? How? It took me a while to process. And after 2 seconds, he told me he's a journalist with NDTV. It's quite a renowned TV channel in India. He's a journalist with NDTV. And so, accidentally, we just entered in a live broadcasting camera. And he did not want to expose that he was studying alongside his work.
Wow.
So it took me that long to understand. And then when I reached the bus stop, I was still trying to absorb all the information that he gave me. That how our life we see from one lens is absolutely different from what the other looks like. Like the camera can capture the moment, but it cannot capture the truth.
Yeah.
And
that must
he's
have been
been
terrifying.
It was for those first 5 minutes. I did not know what had happened, but he was okay because that was his way of dealing. That was his life because he was a journalist and he was doing pretty well. And if accidentally he jumped into a space where there was a live broadcasting camera, he was not ready to show his teammates that he is also pursuing his studies alongside his work. That was something he wanted to keep for a later stage to be disclosed.
Wow. Yeah, he's very lucky that you did react that way because I'm not sure that everyone would have done. Yeah, I definitely have feelings about that one. But yeah, as you say, I mean, it definitely, there's a truth from many, many different sides. The truth is all kinds of colours.
After spending 20 plus vibrant years here in Auckland, you decided to move to a very calm, quiet, and a place known for its stillness. Like the rush, energy, and the hustle and bustle of the city life, which is also known as the financial capital of New Zealand. You left everything here and then you decided to move to the Nelson. So I'm really curious to know what was that thought that made you take that decision. Were you looking for a life away from this traffic, the sound, and the clutter that we're around? Or what was it that was in your head? Or maybe the Tasmancy that you showed me on the Zoom.
Yeah, I'm quite curious as to why I did that as well, to be honest. I think we got to a point, I mean, my kids are 24 and 21. They both have their life, it's terrible emptiness syndrome. When you want them to fly, like you build them up and you teach them everything, and everything is about wanting them to fly, to find themselves, and then they do, and then they go, and it's like, oh, they've flown, now what?
Exactly.
That was a really big one. Also, I know it's no secret that media has undergone a lot of changes.
Yes.
A lot of changes. It is a tough world to be in. And I've worked in various offices, and I've worked as a freelancer quite a lot, but I've also worked in offices quite a lot. And I just got to a point where I just decided that it was time for me to spread my wings, because I personally believe that if you spend too long in one place, you become a little narrow in your thinking because you don't experience everything. And I wanted to experience things. I'd also, at this point, so a few years ago, I re-picked up my initial career, which was as a professional musician. So
wonderful. You being a violist.
Yes. So I went to Royal College of Music, and that was what I studied. That's what I trained as. I trained in first studied viola, second studied piano, and I'd been playing in London quite a lot.
Wow.
And then I got repetitive strain injury, but it wasn't diagnosed as such for the time. So when I got told that I was probably not going to be able to do it for a living, I just threw my toys out the pram and I put it down, and I didn't touch it for, just trying to think, about 26 years.
That's a long.
It's a really long time.
So when you first picked up that instrument, what was the feeling?
One of the reasons, sorry, I'm pausing because it's a lot of things just went through my head.
Which is okay. I can wait.
The whole thing started because my kids had seen, I've got violas and I've got various recordings of things over the years, and my kids have quite often said, we've never heard you play. And my husband had never heard me play. I met him in 1996. He'd never heard me play. And And, they sort of said a few times, why don't you pick it up? And the whole thing was, because I'd played at a professional level,
Yes.
I was really scared that if I picked it up, I was going to sound terrible.
Exactly.
So it's best not to pick it up.
The feeling of not being good enough only just made you not pick up the instrument.
It's like, I guess, if you went to a professional patissier and said, here you go, now go and create these most amazing, beautiful cakes and pastries. And they'd be like, but I haven't done it for 26 years.
Exactly.
It's going to look terrible, and I don't know that I'll get the memeasurements right, or I don't know
the ingredients wrong, or the colour could go wrong.
And I don't know how to decorate it.
Yeah.
It's that, it's all of those things of what's going to happen if I pick it up. And then, in actual fact, an old college friend had we'd travelled from London to Seville with the college orchestra at one point.
Yeah.
And he'd taken some footage, and I have no idea where he got it from to this day, but he'd got a recording of one of the concerts that we did in Seville.
Wow.
And he put it together as a video, and he put it on Facebook.
Wow.
And I suddenly saw me looking a lot younger.
Yes.
But me with my college mates in Seville with the soundtrack of what we played over the top of it. And I played it to the kids, and they were all like, Mum, you've got to do it again.
Exactly. Surprisingly, some of the best moments are the ones which are not planned at all. And it's a great feeling that you picked up your viola once again and started playing it.
Well, I wasn't even sure at that point I was going to. I hadn't picked it up when I contacted the then conductor or the musical director of the Auckland Symphony Orchestra. And I sent him an email, and I just said, I'm a viola player, haven't played for a while, but this is my background. I'm at Exeter College. Don't know if you need violas. And he came back and he said, we've got Last Night of the Proms in about 6 weeks.
Yes, it was meant to be for you. See?
Well, I think of all the programmes in the world, the Last Night of the Proms, there are certain pieces that are just played at every proms.
Wow.
They were really, really well known. There's like Jerusalem, and there's a Pomp and Circumstance March No. 1 by Edward Elgar. And they are pieces that in my previous life, I could have played them with my eyes closed from start to finish, because our youth orchestra, it's like a youth orchestra thing every year, and we quite often won the competition every year, and the prize was to play at the Last Night of the Proms.
Amazing.
At the Royal Albert Hall. So I did that every year for about 7 years, and for anyone who knows London, the Royal College is directly opposite the steps of the Albert Hall.
Wow.
So that was a world that I knew really well. So I think of all the programmes in the universe that I was going to pick my viola back up to, that was it.
And you made it. Good on you.
It was crazy.
Yes.
It was so strange. It's a very interesting study in what the body does, because I looked to the music and I couldn't instantly remember what the notes were, but my fingers went to exactly where they should go.
It's a muscle memory that you always had, and you thought that you're not good at it.
It was so strange. I mean, it was rusty. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't ideal. But it was lovely. There was a guy who I used to play with in that orchestra, a fellow viola player, and a friend of mine was talking to him about how I'd started again, and he said, she came along and she sat at the back with us, and within about 10 minutes we realised she's not supposed to be at the back.
Amazing.
And it just grew, and from there, I began to learn a bit more, and my viola hadn't been played for obviously quite a long time, and I sent it to a luthier, amazing guy called Philip Whitehead. And I said, look, I haven't played it. The tone is quite dull. Can you just have a look at it?
Fix it,
It's quite an old viola. It was 1726, I think it was made.
Oh my God, 300 years back.
Yeah, so it's a pretty old viola, and he did some magic, and when it came back, it was so resonant.
How did you get that vintage viola with you? 1726, is that the case?
Yeah. I had it.
That's a vintage thing.
Yeah, I've had it. I had it way back when I was at college. So I just it's beautiful. It's quite a small viola because I'm not very big, and violas can be quite big. And one of the things about it is there are pestis strain injuries because it was a lot of effort. So having a small one is
and you need
good.
strong shoulders as well to place it on your shoulder and then play it.
Well, there's a lot that goes on in your arm, and and this is where I was having a lot of problems down through here. So, so I just started playing it, and I just improved it, and some of the stuff that I got invited to play was just so fun, and I loved it. I just had such a good time. And it wasn't, I still had a day job. I was a writer at this point. I was a writer and I'd been a writer for 20-something years. But I was just loving it.
Absolutely,
And, then I started getting invited to do things like, I remember the first really big concert that I did. I mean, we'd done some reasonable concerts in Auckland Town Hall and things like that. But the first big one I did was we did a symphony in the Bowl of Brooklands in New Plymouth.
Okay.
And I think we had 30,000 people there.
Oh, my God.
And that was insane.
Yes.
That was the craziest. And we looked out. At one point, me and a couple of the other players before, after our rehearsal, and we'd done all the setting and everything, and went to the back of it just to go and have a look at what it looked like. And we were just like, this is so cool.
Absolutely. I mean,
And it just became, I was talking to someone just yesterday about it, and because she quite often asks me, and she's going, you really are the poster child for why you should have a hobby.
Yes, exactly. I think I read it somewhere. I don't remember, it was an Instagram quote. I read it somewhere that to have the right vibe on the stage, you surely need that right essence, and it needs to come from your heart. Also, it is the audience that creates a vibe for you, which makes it go all the more next level.
It's a moment that will stay with me forever, where we did Symphony in the Snow. So we did one up.
That was an amazing video that I looked at.
Oh, so fun. It was a mad time for the organisers. It was crazy. We literally performed a massive concert with an orchestra, albeit a smaller orchestra, but at the top of Coronet Peak, at the top of a mountain in snow, which was crazy. But one of the things that was amazing was my son and his friend had actually moved to Queenstown. This is a couple of years ago now. And he was and still is working for AJ Hackett down there. And I got a couple of VIP tickets. So I said, well, do you want to come along? Yeah. And they're like, well, yeah. So Charlie, my son, and his friend Sam, and Charlie's girlfriend Ryder all came along. And I just had this amazing moment where I was on stage, not just playing to this crowd, but I was playing to my son and another, one of his mates who I've known since he was about 9.
Yeah.
And I was like, how cool is it that I'm on stage and they were yelling
my name? Your mum is a rock star. Your mum is a superstar.
They were literally yelling my name.
I get that feeling, Catherine. Imagine, back in India, when I was in my school, I've learned classical Indian dance, right?
Cool.
And a couple of years later, when I was showing it to my daughter, she was like, Mama, you should do it on the stage. Mom, you can do it. But it was so hard to find the right time to do it. It has always been exhausting. So now I think I'm able to fulfill that dream of mine when my daughter performs on the stage. So she's learning Kathakali. She's learning a couple of more Indian classical music and Indian classical dance. So she's fulfilling the life that I always dreamt of.
Would you do it with her? Would you pick it up?
Maybe yes or maybe no. Maybe time will tell.
Oh, I think you should try it.
Thank you.
I totally
Thank you for the motivation.
Well, you'll never regret giving it a try.
Yes.
You might regret not.
Absolutely.
I would do it. And apart from anything, it's,
Thank you for the push. I might also try it now.
I think you should. I absolutely think you should, because it's something you'll do with your daughter.
Yes.
It'll be a really special moment for her as well.
Truly. Because sometimes it is the kids, it is the daughters who push you to reach to your next level. When you think your energy is done, when you're all dusted, your energy is exhausted, it's your child who tells you, Mom, you can still do it. And that's when you feel like your motherhood rocks. You have nailed it. You have given them the right direction. You have nurtured them in the right way. So I can imagine.
I think you picking it up will teach her, don't be scared, give it a try.
Yes.
So, I think you teach her a valuable lesson. And you don't know where it's going to lead.
Exactly.
Do it.
Yes.
Anyway, I realised I didn't answer the question about Nelson, which was where we were going with that one.
Okay.
Sorry, because the reason I didn't answer it then is because actually the music side was a really big part of why I moved.
Yeah.
I'll always be a writer. And I will always be a musician. And Nelson is the most incredible hub of art and music and culture, and it's crazy.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah,
it's such an amazing place. It's so vibrant. I know, people do see it as this kind of quiet still, and yes, it's beautiful.
It can be quiet in its own way. For example, when we moved here to New Zealand, The first 2 years, we felt it was hard because if the malls would get shut at 5 p.m., 6 p.m., we were not used to this kind of a culture.
Yeah.
We come
neither.
from a metropolitan city. We come from Delhi, the
I came
national
from
capital.
London. Same.
Exactly, right? The national capital of India. No mall gets shut before 10 p.m. over there. So I knew that if you come back from work at 5, 6 or whatsoever, even though there was no such concept of work-life balance in India, till now it is not, even then I can still go to the mall and get anything that I need for the next day. It could be the dress, it could be the birthday gift for anything. But over here, I've realized the importance of being disciplined and being proactive with your own work. If it is on a weekday, you have to plan it 1 week in advance, or probably have to get all that shit sorted during that weekend only. You just can't keep it for the next day to happen.
Yeah, oh yeah. I remember moving here from London, and it is bizarre because it is.
It is a big shift in the mental state as well.
We moved. It's 2003, so yeah, 23 years ago. And I remember being in someone's house because when we got here, we didn't even have anywhere to live. We were staying with someone, and I said, "Oh, I just need to go out and get a pair of tights." And she looked at me like I was mad, and she said, "Well, you're not going to get tights. It's 5:10." I was like, "What do you mean I'm not going to get tights at 5:10?"
It's just day for us. In fact, it's just afternoon for us.
Yes.
It's not even evening.
It was so funny.
know.
So yes, I hear you. I was like, okay, so I need to make sure that I can't have tights, not till 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. All right.
We will deal with this for tomorrow.
Yeah. So Nelson is different to Auckland in a lot of ways like that, and it yes, it absolutely has its peaceful side. There's the Maitai River which runs through Nelson, and there's no such thing as a bad spot along there. You walk my dog along there, and it is beautiful. And when I first got there, I sort of took a few photos, and people were going, "Oh my God, what's this amazing spot?" It's like the neighbourhood walk 5 minutes around the corner. But it also, I think, like a lot of places, it's got as much as you want to get from it.
Yes.
It was difficult because I moved there and my husband stayed in Auckland, and it was supposed to be for a couple of months, and it ended up being 7 months. So there was an element of isolation in paradise. But I moved there for all of it. I moved because I wanted the music side of things. I moved there because I did want a little bit of peace. I moved there because I needed to change my situation because the emptiness syndrome was very real.
Absolutely, yeah.
It still is. I mean, a change of geography doesn't change that. I still miss them.
It cannot.
I saw my daughter for lunch today, and I'm seeing my son tomorrow, and I'm seeing them for such a short time. I texted my daughter 3 minutes after I left her. I was like, I miss you already. And I do, but both my kids were really, really supportive of us moving. My daughter's here in Auckland. She's doing a PhD, and my son's currently in Queenstown, but he's moving back to Auckland. They're doing their thing. They've been incredibly supportive, and they just said, you've done your time. Go do what you want to do. Go do something for you, which I love that. Yeah. Thank you, kids.
It is your time. Live the most.
Yeah.
Make the most of it.
But it was really important. I'm a communicator, obviously. So
absolutely, yeah. And that's the reason I was so nervous sitting on this seat.
You are also a communicator, very much so.
My heart knew. Before you entered in the studio, I was doing a video call with my parents, and I told them, Mom, she's a journalist, she's a writer. She's got 3 decades of experience. I don't know what I'm going to do. This is my 3rd episode, and she's got 3 decades of experience. My mom was like, just take it easy. You will both do it together.
Absolutely. Well, it's very unusual for me to be on the other side of things. So, yeah, we're both in a slightly different situation. But, yeah, you're definitely a natural communicator. You knew what you wanted, and you reached out and got it. So
yes.
But, yeah, when I moved down to Nelson, we left on the Friday. We got there on the Sunday. I went to my first orchestra rehearsal on the Wednesday. And I went in there, and people were like, introducing myself, I'm new. And so when did you arrive? So I was thinking I was going to say 6 months ago. I went, Sunday.
Yes.
And they were like, how could you be here so quickly? I'm here so quickly because
it was my calling, and I had to be here. Accept it.
Well, the thing about an orchestra is there are very few places that you ever go to where you can walk into a room and there are 50 other people there, and you've got something in common with all of them.
Okay.
And that's what you have. That's what you have when you walk into an orchestra. So they can be all kinds of different walks of life. They all play different instruments. They're different ages, stages, everything. Everything's different. But you have this one thing in common and you just play this thing together.
Yes.
And it's the most amazing feeling.
Yes.
And when you make that sound, I love orchestral work, I love chamber music, I love all that kind of stuff, but it's a very special kind of bond that that you have.
It's a bond, it's a harmony that you all create together.
It's a harmony in every single sense of the word. It's fabulous. And it was amazing because Nelson, like quite a few of the smaller places, it can be quite tricky to find your feet.
Yes.
You know, it's one of those places. And I was told about it by many Nelsonians that, you know, unless your great-grandmother was born there, then you're not a local and never will be. But I have to say I haven't found that.
Yeah.
I have felt incredibly welcomed.
Wow.
And I feel like I've been very lucky to...
Absolutely. You feel home in that spot, in that
I think
area.
I mean, I grew up in Sheffield in the UK, which is sort of up about halfway up. And then I moved to London, and then I moved to Auckland, and now I'm in Nelson. If you ask me which one of those places was home, I couldn't tell you. But I think they all are.
They all are. We feel the same. Whether we live in India or whether we live in New Zealand, we still call it home to both the places. One where the roots are, one where we currently are, which has given us everything in life.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's funny, isn't it? So, yeah, I think... do I feel at home there? Yes. But also coming up here, I feel at home. But then I go back to the UK and I feel at home. So
yes,
people make a lot of it. So, you know, I mean, I can't remember how many people have told me this over time, but it's not a place that makes somewhere, it's the people. And it is. And I have loved being part of this musical thing. And because it's a smaller place... I'm actually getting, and because also I'm now fully freelancing as opposed to going into an office, I can be slightly freer with my time, and I'm being asked to do more things and different things that I haven't done in a really long time. Last week I was helping someone, and it's not for a performance, but there was a girl and she's about to go off and study music, and she wanted to do the Schubert Cello Quintet, and she's actually performing it next Sunday down in Nelson. But she wanted to practice it because it's quite hard. So I just got a call and they went, will you just come in and play it with us so that she can get used to it? It's a gorgeous piece of music. And it was just, I loved it. And I was playing with people I'd never played with before.
Wow.
And, you know, then we were like, oh, God, should we try and see if we can do this? Maybe we'll go and play it in the cathedral. Yeah. There are a lot of opportunities that just kind of, boof, they just appear. And I love that. I love that I've got those options. And I think, you know, we were talking about before where if you just stay in one place, you know, if nothing changes, nothing changes.
Exactly.
It's that. So
you don't learn much just being there in the same place. Yeah. There's no scope of growth, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so this is, it's an opportunity to do, I don't know what.
Massive work, your calling.
It's, yeah, I'm not sure which is my calling. I mean, if someone else, and I have been asked if I'm a writer or a musician, and I'm
blend of both, everything.
Absolutely both.
And that's what my next question would be with you. So you've been a writer, editor, journalist, and a musician, everything like in a total package. And then you write about these famous celebrities as well on earth. Has there been a point in your life when you're writing about the celebs and there's some sort of a music ringing in your head which guides your tone of what needs to go on that piece of paper?
Funnily enough, they're quite separate. When I'm a writer, I'm in writer headspace.
Yes.
And when I'm doing the music, there's a music headspace.
Yes.
And in actual fact, I cannot listen to music when I'm writing.
Is it? I'm just the opposite of it.
Most people love listening to music. I can't. It distracts me so much. It's one of those things. Like now, my husband's back there, and when I'm working from home, and I put the music on. I can't. I cannot have music when I'm writing.
For me, it's the rhythm that defines. For me, it's the flow that defines on that piece of paper when I have the right music going on.
Yeah, I don't know. I sort of understand why I can't do it, but yeah, they are very separate worlds. I can very happily and pretty seamlessly go from one to the other. I just can't do them together, which is very strange.
That's your way of managing things, which is beautiful in its own way.
Yeah.
We've all got different sides. You do it at a separate level. We do it by merging everything together.
Oh, I consider myself incredibly lucky.
Yes.
I mean, I don't just do 2 jobs. I do 2 of what I think are the most incredible things. I mean, I will always be incredibly grateful that I'm able to do those things, because I think it opens some doors that, you don't know what's going to happen in front of you. But I think I'm really lucky.
Yes.
I wish I was better at things like doing taxes. I'm terrible at things like that.
Same. If you ask me 2 plus 2, I would absolutely mess with it.
Yeah.
I'm that kind of a person.
Yeah. I'm like, I would actually... My sister's incredibly good with figures and numbers and logic.
Same
and
with my
I am
sister. She's a
not.
banker by profession, and she's so good with her numbers, and I'm just on the opposite side. I'm more like an artsy person. She's more like a number particular person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine too. Isn't it mad? But yeah, I would love to be able to tick all those boxes and be amazing at all those things. But I'm not. But it's lovely to be good at something, and I think if I've learned anything over the years, it's that actually be grateful for what you've got.
Truly. I think this is something that answers to all my questions. Just being grateful and having gratitude for everything, good, bad, ugly situation in my life. Gratitude works for everything for me.
I think you need to train your head to whichever way of thinking. If you think negatively, you will become negative. If you think positively, you will become positive. And I truly believe that. And the science backs that up, because you build brain pathways.
Absolutely.
So, I just consider myself very lucky, because I get to do things like come here with you.
Catherine, thank you so much for being in the show. It was such an amazing conversation we had before and in the studio. What a privilege to have you in the studio with us today. You shared your love, wealth of knowledge, and incredible stuff that we never knew before. Your story, your journey of resilience, the strength that actually lifted you when you were deep down into that hole. The courage to come up from there was just incredible. So thank you for being here. And I'm sure our listeners will not just walk away with tips, they will walk with great insights and positivity and hopes in their life. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for allowing me to do it, to actually get a little snapshot of my own life in a way that I didn't know that I'd had before. But also absolute privilege to meet you. And it's, I think you and I have many similarities.
Absolutely. It was such an honor to have you. Such great feeling to be here on the show with you. The feelings are mutual. And from here, we're going to make this lifelong connection.
Excellent. Well, I can't wait. I can't wait to hear more, and I can't wait to see what you do with this next.
Thank you so much.
As we come to the end of today's episode, her journey reminds us that even when life changes in an instant, resilience and creativity can help us find our way forward. And that expression has a powerful way of carrying us through the darkest moments into the new beginnings. To our listeners, thank you for spending this time with us today. I hope today's conversation inspires you to embrace your own strength, trust your healing, and keep creating your own beautiful gods in life. I'm your host Himani, and this has been Beautiful Chords, where stories, resilience, and human expression come together in harmony.